Most older men think their age is the reason women lose interest. They blame the years, the wrinkles, the grey hair. But the truth is, age itself doesn't kill attraction. Attitude does. Some men grow older and become invisible. Others grow older and become magnetic, the kind of men women can't help but notice. What's the difference? It's not money, it's not status, and it's definitely not chasing harder. The difference lies in how a man carries himself, how he understands attraction, and how he builds presence instead of begging for validation. Women can sense the gap instantly. One man walks into the room and blends into the background. Another man, even older, walks in, and suddenly all eyes shift toward him. Today, I'm going to break down exactly why some older men stay irresistible and why others fade away without even realizing it. Because once you know this truth, you'll never look at attraction the same way again. 1. Confidence that doesn't beg for approval. If there's one thing that separates the older men women still find irresistible from the ones who get ignored, it's confidence without the need for validation. Let me explain. Most men, as they age, start overcompensating. They brag about their past, talk endlessly about what they used to do, or chase compliments from women just to feel relevant again. That's not confidence. That's insecurity dressed in desperation. And desperation, no matter how it's packaged, kills attraction. Think about the men you've seen who age like fine wine. They don't walk into a room screaming for attention. They don't need to show off their watch, their bank account, or their old gym photos. Their presence alone commands respect. Why? Because true confidence is calm. It's quiet. It doesn't beg. A man like this knows his value, whether anyone acknowledges it or not. He doesn't need a woman to clap for him, because he already claps for himself. And women feel that instantly. It's magnetic. Here's what most older men get wrong. They confuse confidence with performance. They think if they buy the newest car, wear the flashiest suit, or tell the funniest stories, women will see them as attractive. But what women actually sense is whether a man is trying too hard. Trying too hard communicates lack. It screams, "I don't believe I'm enough, so I need to prove it to you." On the other hand, the man who is irresistible doesn't play the proving game. He sits back, relaxed, comfortable in silence. He doesn't have to fill every second with words. His energy speaks louder than his mouth ever could. And here's the secret. When you stop chasing approval, people start chasing yours. Women especially. A younger woman might not even know why she feels drawn to the older man in the room, but subconsciously she senses that he's unshakable. He's grounded. He's not looking at her like she's the prize. He's living as if he is. That flips the dynamic. She starts wondering why he's so composed, why he isn't scrambling for her attention, why he seems so certain of himself. That curiosity is the seed of desire. So remember this. Irresistible older men don't beg for approval. They radiate confidence that needs no applause. And that, right there, is the foundation of timeless attraction. 2. Maintaining masculine energy instead of slipping into comfort. Another reason some older men stay irresistible while others fade into the background is their ability to hold on to masculine energy. Let's get this straight. Masculine energy isn't about having big muscles or trying to act tough. It's about direction, drive, and presence. It's about being a man who knows where he's going and doesn't let life soften him into passivity. Here's the harsh truth. A lot of men, once they hit a certain age, get too comfortable. They stop pushing themselves. They stop chasing growth. They start living like their best years are behind them. They let their bodies go, they lose ambition, and they walk through life like it's just a waiting game. That energy is heavy. Women can feel it instantly. It's the vibe of a man who has surrendered to mediocrity, and there's nothing attractive about it. Now think about the opposite. The older man who still carries that fire in his eyes. He may not be 20 anymore, but he still hits the gym, still takes care of his appearance, still wakes up with goals and purpose. He moves through life with intent, not laziness. That's masculine energy, and it doesn't expire with age. In fact, when you combine life experience with that raw masculine drive, it becomes even more powerful. Because now you're not just another guy with ambition. You're a man who knows himself, who's tested, who's been through storms and still walks tall. Here's what women feel around that type of man: safety, strength, and excitement. Safety, because he's stable. Strength, because he doesn't fold under pressure. Excitement, because he hasn't given up on life. Compare that to the man who spends his nights sitting on the couch, complaining about politics, scrolling his phone, and wishing he was younger. One man radiates energy that draws women in. The other radiates stagnation that pushes them away. And don't confuse this with being loud or aggressive. Masculine energy is often subtle. It's in the way you carry yourself, the way you handle problems, the way you refuse to let life break your edge. That's what keeps women hooked. Because deep down, a woman doesn't want a man who gave up. She wants a man who's still in the game. So remember this: staying irresistible isn't about age, it's about energy. Masculine energy. Keep it alive, and you'll always have an aura women can't resist. 3. Keeping mystery alive, instead of becoming predictable. One of the biggest mistakes older men make that kills attraction is becoming too predictable. They lose the spark, the edge, the sense of mystery that once made them magnetic. Women are emotional creatures. They don't fall for routine, they fall for the unknown. They don't obsess over the man who gives them everything on a silver platter. They obsess over the man who leaves them wondering what's next. And here's the truth: most men kill that mystery without even realizing it. Think about it. As men age, many fall into habits. Same conversations, same jokes, same routines. They text too much, they reveal too much, they explain themselves until there's nothing left to discover. They think being an open book will make a woman feel closer to them. But in reality, it strips away all the excitement. Because here's what creates desire: uncertainty. The moment a woman feels like she has you all figured out, the attraction starts to fade. She stops wondering. She stops chasing. She moves on to the next man who excites her curiosity. Now compare that to the older man who understands the power of mystery. He doesn't overshare his life in the first 5 minutes. He doesn't feel the need to respond instantly to every message. He doesn't dump every detail of his feelings on the table. Instead, he reveals himself piece by piece, slowly, deliberately. He lets her feel like she's peeling back layers, discovering him on her own. That process is intoxicating. It keeps her hooked because every time she's around him, there's something new to learn, something new to feel. And here's the beauty of mystery: it doesn't require lying, manipulation, or playing games. It simply requires restraint. It's about holding back just enough to make her curious, just enough to keep her imagination working overtime. When she's lying in bed replaying your words, wondering what you really meant, imagining what you're doing when you're not with her, that's when obsession begins. The truth is, predictability is safe, but boring. Mystery is magnetic because it leaves space for her to chase. And the moment she's chasing, you've already won. So remember this: older men who stay irresistible never let themselves become too easy to read. They keep a sense of unpredictability, a hint of depth she hasn't uncovered yet. That's what makes her lean in, wonder, and crave more. And that's the difference between being forgotten and being unforgettable. 4. Staying physically sharp. Instead of letting yourself go, let's be brutally honest. Nothing kills attraction faster than an older man who has completely let himself go. You've seen it. The man with the slouched shoulders, the gut hanging over his belt, the sloppy clothes that look like they've been around since the 90s. He may still have a good heart, but physically, he radiates neglect. And neglect is not attractive. On the other hand, the older men who stay irresistible are the ones who respect their bodies enough to keep them sharp. Not perfect, not plastic surgery or steroids sharp, but strong, clean, well-kept, and alive. Here's the truth. Women don't expect you to look 25 forever. They don't expect you to have the same six-pack you might have had in college. What they do expect, though, is that you don't abandon yourself. Because your body reflects your discipline. It shows whether you've got fight left in you or if you've surrendered to comfort. When you walk into a room with a straight posture, when your clothes fit right because you still take care of your frame, when you carry yourself like a man who gives a damn, that energy speaks louder than words. Now, too many men make excuses. They say, I'm too old for the gym, or it doesn't matter at my age. Wrong. That mindset is exactly why some men lose all their appeal. Because the truth is, taking care of yourself isn't about vanity. It's about vitality. It's about showing you still have the drive, the strength, and the discipline to push yourself. That's what women pick up on. A man who values himself, a man who respects himself. Think about the contrast. One man shows up winded after climbing a flight of stairs, dressed in baggy clothes, energy drained. Another man, same age, walks in fit, shoulders back, maybe a little gray in his beard, but with a sharp look in his eyes. Which one do you think women will gravitate toward? It's not about youth, it's about effort. Women don't obsess over the man who gave up on himself. They obsess over the man who refuses to let age define him. So remember this. Staying irresistible means staying physically sharp. You don't need to look like a bodybuilder, but you do need to carry yourself like a man who's still in the fight. Because the moment you give up on your body, you send the message that you've given up on yourself. And that's never attractive. 5. Emotional control. Instead of emotional chaos. One of the strongest traits that keeps older men irresistible is emotional control. Let me break this down. As men age, life throws curveballs. Failed relationships, career stress, family drama. Some men let these things harden them in the worst way. They become bitter, reactive, and easily triggered. Every small thing sets them off. They snap, they complain, they gossip, they sulk. That energy repels women because it screams one thing: lack of control. And nothing kills attraction faster than a man who can't even control himself. Now look at the flip side. The older man who stays calm under pressure. He doesn't explode at small annoyances. He doesn't let his emotions leak all over the place. He's composed, grounded. A storm could be raging around him, but he walks steady, like the eye of the hurricane. That is power. That is stability. And women are drawn to it like gravity. Why? Because deep down, a woman doesn't want to feel like she has to mother a man emotionally. She wants to feel like he can handle life, and by extension, handle her. Here's what most men don't realize. Your emotions set the tone for every interaction. If you're insecure, she'll feel it. If you're desperate, she'll feel it. If you're jealous and reactive, she'll feel it. But if you're calm, confident, and in control, she'll feel safe. And attraction grows in that space of safety. Women might flirt with chaos, but they invest in calm strength. And emotional control doesn't mean being cold or robotic. It doesn't mean shutting down. It means you can feel emotions without being ruled by them. You can get angry without losing composure. You can be disappointed without throwing a tantrum. You can be passionate without being needy. That balance is rare, and rare is irresistible. Think about it. An older man who still loses his cool, who argues with strangers online, who sulks when things don't go his way, that man looks weak, no matter his age. But the one who stays centered, who doesn't let life rattle him, who smiles in the face of pressure, That man becomes unforgettable because she knows she can lean on him without him crumbling. So remember this: women are not obsessed with men who ride emotional roller coasters. They are obsessed with men who remain grounded, composed, and unshakable. The man who controls his emotions controls the room. And that's what keeps him irresistible long after others have faded. 6. Purpose that doesn't expire. Another reason some older men remain irresistible is that they never lose their sense of purpose. Most men, when they get older, start living like their story is already written. They retire from ambition, retire from challenges, and retire from pushing themselves. They settle into comfort, routine, and repetition. And while that might sound safe, it drains them of the very energy that makes them attractive. Because here's the truth: a man without purpose is a man without fire, and women can sense that instantly. Think about it. You've probably seen older men who sit around every day with no drive, no excitement, no vision for the future. They talk about the good old days, as if their best moments are already behind them. That mindset ages a man faster than time ever could. Because when a man stops striving, he starts shrinking. He becomes smaller in presence, weaker in energy, and less magnetic to everyone around him. Now look at the men who never stop living with purpose. They might not be chasing the same things they did at 25, but they still wake up with goals. Maybe it's building a business, maybe it's mastering a skill, maybe it's mentoring others, maybe it's exploring new passions, but the key is they're still in motion, they're still writing new chapters, and that movement, that drive, that refusal to sit down and quit, that's what keeps them attractive. Here's the psychology. Women are wired to be drawn to men with direction. Not men who wander aimlessly, not men who live day to day with no vision, but men who know where they're going. Purpose signals leadership. It signals strength. It signals that no matter his age, he's still someone worth following. And when a woman feels like she can step into a man's world and be part of something bigger, attraction skyrockets. The mistake most men make is thinking women only want youth, money, or looks. Number. What women truly crave is the energy of a man who hasn't given up, who still wakes up hungry. That hunger is rare, and rare is magnetic. So remember this: your purpose doesn't expire unless you let it. The men who stay irresistible are the ones who keep chasing, keep building, and keep leading. Because nothing is more attractive than a man who shows the world and himself that his best days are still ahead. 7. Charisma. That connects, not tries too hard. The final quality that makes some older men irresistible is charisma. Not the fake kind where a man forces jokes or tries to dominate every conversation, but the natural kind that comes from presence, warmth, and self-assurance. Charisma is the ability to make people feel good in your presence without sacrificing your own value. And the older men who master this are the ones women can't forget. Here's the mistake many men make as they age. They either go cold and distant, acting like they don't care about anyone, or they swing the other way, trying way too hard to be liked. They become the entertainer, the clown, or the guy who's overly agreeable just to gain approval. Both extremes kill attraction. One makes you look bitter, the other makes you look desperate. Real charisma sits in the middle. It's the calm smile, the steady eye contact, the genuine interest in others, mixed with a confident energy that says, I don't need to impress you, but I enjoy engaging with you. Think about it. A man with true charisma can walk into a room and light it up, not because he's loud, but because people feel good around him. He tells stories with ease, he listens without interrupting, and he knows how to add humor without forcing it. He's social without being needy, and mysterious without being cold. Women are especially drawn to this because charisma creates emotional chemistry. It makes every interaction with him feel memorable. Now, what most men don't understand is that charisma isn't about memorizing pickup lines or learning tricks. It comes from being comfortable in your own skin. When you're relaxed, when you don't try to be someone you're not, when you've lived enough life to know your worth, that ease shines through. And women can feel it. They lean in. They laugh more. They feel more alive around you. And that's the secret. People chase the ones who make them feel alive. So here's the truth. Irresistible older men don't just rely on looks, money, or status. They build charisma that draws people in naturally. They combine confidence with warmth, strength with charm, presence with subtle playfulness. And that balance makes women not just attracted, but fascinated. Remember this. Charisma isn't about trying harder. It's about being the man who doesn't need to try at all. And when you master that, you won't just be attractive for a season. You'll be unforgettable for life. At the end of the day, the difference between older men who fade away and those who stay irresistible has nothing to do with luck or genetics. It's about choices. Some men let age turn them bitter, predictable, and lifeless. Others use age as fuel to sharpen their edge, deepen their presence, and refine their masculine energy. Women feel that difference instantly. They're not drawn to men who gave up. They're drawn to men who keep growing, who carry themselves with calm confidence, who protect their purpose, and who radiate charisma without trying too hard. Attraction is never about chasing, begging, or proving yourself. It's about holding ground, about knowing your value, about becoming the kind of man who doesn't need validation to feel alive. That's what makes women lean in. That's what keeps them curious. And that's what transforms simple interest into obsession. So remember this, your age doesn't make you irrelevant. Your mindset does. Stay confident, stay sharp, stay purposeful, and you'll be the man who stands out in every room, no matter how many candles are on your cake. Because true attraction doesn't fade with time. It grows with the man who refuses to let himself fade.